On this eve of his enshrinement into the Hall of Fame, Rickey Jackson walked the red carpet. He rang the closing bell at the New York Stock Exchange. And in the morning, he went to a little luncheon with fellow Hall of Famers, at which point he says he had a little trouble with this guy, Hall of Famer Deacon Jones.
Say it's just that big, and he says, so don't never think that you can go there without a speech and think that you just gonna get up there and run stuff off. He said it's bigger than that. So that's what he was basically trying to tell me, but I let him know that, you know, I'm the toughest they come, so yeah, I don't worry about that kind of stuff.
And you've dreamed about this moment for years. It's been fun so far. I hope all for it.
You got all your family there and everybody happy and everybody in town, so I mean, it means a lot.
John Henry Smith, Fox 8 Sports.
The class of 2010 not only includes Rickey Jackson, but arguably the best runner, Emmitt Smith, and greatest receiver, Jerry Rice, of all time. Rickey says the class of 2010 is best ever.
This is the toughest class, and I think this one of the most popular class. So my feeling about this class, this is a unique class, and it got a whole lot of Hall of Famers in here, but as a 7-guy rotation, I think that this is one of the best class to ever go in.
When he retired at the end of the 1995 season, Rickey was second all-time in the NFL in opponents' fumbles recovered and third in quarterback sacks, and he had the respect of his peers.
You know, when you came across that middle, you knew that you were going to get hit. And, you know, Rickey Jackson, he was a force, and I was happy when he came on to the Niners and we were able to, you know, go out there and win a Super Bowl for him.
At Thursday night's Hall of Fame dinner, Rickey Jackson said he got some great advice from Deacon Jones, who said, Rickey, whatever you want to say, make sure you have it written. The Hall of Fame class rang the bell to close the New York Stock Exchange. Saturday, their stock is never higher as they enter the Pro Football Hall of Fame. In Canton, Ed Daniels, ABC 26 Sports.
And he lost the ball, and the Saints have it in Rickey Jackson.
Rickey Jackson wasn't the most well-known linebacker of his era, but he might have been the best. Just ask the other 2010 Hall of Famers who played with and against him.
Rickey wasn't always in the limelight. If we went out right now and picked up a game right out here on the lawn, and if I get first pick, I'm taking Rickey Jackson.
Well, he played a very important part in us, you know, winning that Super Bowl. And even when he was in New Orleans, though, you know, you had about 4 linebackers. I mean, you had so many guys that was getting so much attention, so he didn't get a lot of recognition, but he was a force when he came to the 49ers.
We knew what we were getting ourselves into when we played the New Orleans Saints, and Rickey Jackson was a force to be reckoned with.
Well, there's no artifact here at the Hall of Fame that proves Rickey Jackson's toughness as a football player more than that helmet right there. That's the helmet Rickey wore back in 1989. In that year, he missed the only 2 games of his career, and you know what it took for him to miss those 2 games? A car accident. But after missing only 2 games, he put this specially outfitted helmet on to protect his injured cheekbone and played the rest of the season.
We were getting ready to play New Orleans, and it was still, well, they're not quite sure if Rickey's going to play or not. He has his jaw wired shut. As I said, if I know Rickey, he's going to play. And sure enough, you know, he put the shield on and he played with the broken jaw.
Well, I didn't really get hurt because, I mean, my focus was on the ball, so you can't get hurt if you're trying to get to that ball. You ain't got time to be getting hurt. You can't be missing no games and all that stuff being out if you're trying to get to the ball.
And all those years of getting to the ball have now gotten Rickey to the Hall. John Henry Smith, Fox 8 Sports. Well, right now we're outside of the Canton Civic Center. Inside of that building right there tonight was where the enshrinement dinner takes place. That's the dinner they have the night before the enshrinement ceremony in Fawcett Stadium next to the Pro Football Hall of Fame in Canton. And that's where they get their gold jackets. Here was Rickey Jackson being presented to the crowd. Coming out, I noticed that he was the only player of the 7 players enshrined. Well, let me rephrase that. Dallas Cowboys running back Emmitt Smith did have a little gray and white on, but he wasn't wearing his team colors as proudly or as prominently as Rickey Jackson was. You can see there decked out in the black outfit with the gold tie, coming out to a round of applause. And clearly enjoying the moment as he is about to take his place among pro football's greatest football players. He will have the gold jacket that he received here tonight on tomorrow when he accepts enshrinement to the Hall of Fame and makes his speech. Tom Benson presenting. We will bring you, of course, full coverage on Fox 8 News at 9 and 10. I'm John Henry Smith. Back to you.
At Impastado's restaurant in Metairie, Rickey Jackson works the room like a champ. And the man affectionately nicknamed City Champ from his playing days with the Saints has worked his way into the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
I'm just happy that the Saints finally can be part of history, that having, somebody in the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
Taken by the Saints in the second round of the 1981 draft out of the University of Pittsburgh, Jackson became an immediate force on defense. During his 13 years with the Saints, he recorded 128 sacks. He recovered 28 fumbles, and he made 6 trips to the Pro Bowl.
I mean, I knew that my, career was Hall of Fame worthy because, I feel like, since I played the strong side linebacker, nobody's stats can touch my stats, and the game is about the stats. So, I think that if you go over all the categories in football and playing the strong side, I think that I'm #1 probably in all the categories.
During my one-on-one sit-down with Jackson, the 52-year-old told me all 9 of his children will be attending the Hall of Fame induction ceremony, but that the evening is a bit incomplete because his beloved mother, Lila, will not be there. She passed away in 2006.
She always said I was going to make it. She always knew that I was going to make it, and now, I just thank her and, just say, hey, I made it, Ma, and keep moving, but I mean, that's the toughest part.
Reporter Scott Cody is live in Canton, Ohio with a preview of tonight's ceremony. Good afternoon, Scott.
Hey, Katie, how are you doing? Yeah, it's been a year of firsts for not only the Saints, but their fans as well. Back in February, their first ever Super Bowl title, and later tonight, as you mentioned, the franchise's first ever Hall of Famer. The city champ, Rickey Jackson, set to be enshrined into the Pro Football Hall of Fame in just a few hours here in Canton. It's a weekend that's been a long time coming for one of the franchise's greatest players. Jackson helped erase that losing stigma that surrounded the Saints for so long as the leader of the famed Dome Patrol defense. He was a part of the first winning season in New Orleans Saints history and the first playoff appearance. And now he gives Houdats a reason to make the pilgrimage from South Louisiana to Canton, Ohio.
A lot of times, people come from Louisiana up here and they can't come to the Hall of Fame because they don't have nobody to represent the Saints. And now the whole Louisiana can come up here and they got a home product that's here.
And the Houdats are definitely here in Canton, but outnumbered. That's not to say they won't be overheard during tonight's ceremony. I'd be willing to bet a few Houdats will be shouted. Reporting live from Canton, Scott Cody, Channel 4, Eyewitness News. Katie?
All right, Scott, thank you.
A 19-block stretch down Cleveland Avenue in Canton, Ohio, once a year becomes the hub of the pro football world. For generations, Cantonians have arranged their schedules and marked their calendars for this event, the Hall of Fame Parade. Do you have memories from when you were younger and kind of growing up with this thing?
Ever since I was probably about her age, I've came here, so since I was a baby, yeah.
But in this parade, rather than floats, it's football players who attract the crowds. Hall of Famers, past and present, sit atop well-waxed chariots, their arms eventually as sore as a pageant queen. It's not the throws that wear them out, just the waves.
It's a great honor just to see people, hollering at you and screaming at you and applauding you, thanking you for what you accomplished.
Those lining the street seeking merely a nod from the legends they've cheered for. Their attire, unlike Bourbon Street, only revealing their allegiance.
Everybody dressed up in their football outfits, the fans, like the big fans of the games, just everybody loves football here. It's a big football town, so anything in football.
And she means anything.
I'm Wade Henry here from Clearwater, Florida, and this is my uniform.
Can you explain it a little bit?
Well,
it's kind of drab, actually.
Yeah, I just like football, I was on the horse. That was my horse over there, and I rode him all the way on the unipony. I made it. Touchdown.
Oddly, his method of transportation a better alternative than his. It seems every parade has a breakdown or two. Safe to say Rickey Jackson's week going a lot better than that guy's. Last night he received his gold jacket, a size 54 if you're keeping score at home. Later tonight he'll get that bronze bust that'll be cemented here at the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Live from Canton, Scott Cody, Channel 4, Eyewitness Sports.
The Pro Football Hall of Fame. Inside these walls, you can hear the whispers of legends.
I was so privileged and lucky to play this incredible game with so many incredible people.
A new dream for me come true, and that's being a part of another great team in the Hall of Fame.
Through this bust, with these guys in that hall, we will be forever.
Today, the doors open for the best receiver ever. And a Cowboy who ran his way to the top of the NFL rushing record book.
That should do it. Move over, Sweetness. Make a place for Emmett.
7 men who left countless memories on the field go to a place where immortals live forever. The Pro Football Hall of Fame.
Well, it is the place to be if you like football. Canton, Ohio on a picture-perfect Saturday evening in August as we get set to welcome in 7 new members into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. They come from all eras of the game. They come wearing jerseys of those that will be enshrined tonight. They come in droves to watch 7 men have their busts put in the Hall of Fame along the greatest to have ever played. Whether they come from Pittsburgh, Detroit, Minnesota, Dallas, San Francisco, they are all here tonight, even Denver, as over 20,000 have descended on the Pro Football Hall of Fame for the enshrinement ceremonies tonight. Hi, everybody, and welcome in once again to ESPN's coverage of the Pro Football enshrinement ceremonies. Trey Wingo, delighted to be joined once again by Tom Jackson. It's always one of our favorite nights of the entire football year, but this year, with the class that we've got going in, well, it may just be the best we've ever seen. Let's show you through the new members of the Hall of Fame, beginning with the leading rusher in the history of the game, Emmitt Smith, 18,355 yards, 3 times a Super Bowl champ and also a Super Bowl MVP. If you've got the leading rusher, you might as well have the leading receiver in NFL history, Jerry Rice, obliterated the record books, also a 3-time Super Bowl winner and an MVP. One of the original members of the Hogs, the great offensive line in Washington, Russ Grimm, in his 11-year career won 3 Super Bowls, 4 times a Pro Bowl player. Rickey Jackson, part of the great Dome Patrol linebackers for the New Orleans Saints, 128 career sacks, 6 times a Pro Bowl player in his own right. John Randall, undrafted out of Texas A&I. We all make mistakes. All he did was come up with 137.5 career sacks, had 8 straight years of at least 10 sacks. And finally, the door opens for Dick LeBeau, a great defensive back with the Lions, 62 interceptions, and simply one of the greatest coaches on defense we've ever seen in the NFL. Another Bronco goes in, Tommy. Floyd Little, 6,323 rushing yards, second in Broncos history, and of course, for many years, the only reason to watch the Denver Broncos, as you well know, they struggled in their early years. When you look at this class, Tom, in totality, what does this class, the 7 men of 2010, say to you?
Well, Trey, I love the flair of this class from top to bottom, and because Floyd Little is going in, very personal for me, his enshrinement. But I think it may be the greatest class of all time because you include Emmitt Smith, the greatest rusher of all time by the numbers, and you include Jerry Rice, who may be, in fact, the best football player ever. So what a great class we have in 2010.
Just so people understand, forget by the numbers, which are impressive as in terms of #1 for Jerry Rice and #1 for Emmitt Smith. They bring in over 45,000 combined yards and 384 touchdowns. That's just 2 people that are going to be going in tonight on that podium. It is going to be a special night. We're glad you're here with us. One of the other great things about coming here is you see all the other legendary players like Franco Harris, such a great member of those Pittsburgh Steelers teams that won 4 Super Bowls in the 70s and a member of the Hall of Fame class in 1990. It is going to be a magical night. We've got so many memories to share with you. Stay with us. We're coming right back.
They opened the doors here at the Pro Football Hall of Fame in 1963, and they ushered in the charter members. That was a pretty darn good class. They had a lot of history to cover. Football began in 1920. They've had ceremonies every year since then. We used to be on the steps of the hall, if you remember. And now, for almost a decade, we've been here in Fawcett Stadium. In either location, rarely have we seen a class like this. Some championship teams are led by the offense, the quarterbacks, the running backs, the receivers. Maybe they're led by the defense. In Washington, the underlying force behind all 3 Super Bowl titles they won from 1982 to 1991 were the Hogs, the offensive line. Ladies and gentlemen, say hello to the head hog, Russ Grimm. Last winter, the New Orleans Saints won a Super Bowl for the ages, did they not? For a region devastated by Hurricane Katrina, tested again now by the oil catastrophe. Let's face it, the Saints were so often losers, but they had always been losers until this man helped spearhead a defense that gave New Orleans a winner at last in the late 80s and the early 90s. Linebacker Rickey Jackson. These 2 guys is the same team as seniors at Pitt, huh? What kind of team was that? 50 years and counting in professional football. You know him now as defensive wizard and coordinator for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Perhaps you may remember as head coach of the Cincinnati Bengals. But what many don't know or forget is that at cornerback, there were very few equal his day when he played for the Detroit Lions in the 60s. How about 62 interceptions, still 8th all time? At long last, Dick LeBeau. He was the very first star of the Denver Broncos. In fact, he was called the franchise. He ran his way into 2 AFL All-Star games and 3 Pro Bowls, despite the fact that he never once ran behind a Bronco lineman voted to a Pro Bowl. How about that? 12,000 all-purpose yards later, also at long last, here he is, Floyd Little. This man was an undrafted free agent as a little All-America from Texas A&I. The Minnesota Vikings said, I knew they were here. And the Minnesota Vikings took a chance at this defensive tackle. He had a little quickness. Yes, some chance. 137.5 sacks from the inside, highest ever. He quickly made the all-decade team for the 90s. John Randall. Whenever anybody talks about wide receiver, he must be the first name mentioned. Hardly in the national limelight at Mississippi Valley State. Although he was an 18-time record holder, he'd soon be in the limelight with the San Francisco 49ers. We could take an hour reading his accomplishments, but that would be too easy. He caught more passes by far, more yards by far, more touchdowns by far, for more yards from scrimmage by far. Ladies and gentlemen, Jerry Rice. Oh, okay, I get it. You also want the leading rusher of the NFL too, do you? I get it. Oh, we got him here in the class of 2010 as well. This man at 5'9" stands taller than all the other running backs. The most yards, the most rushing touchdowns, the most carries. In fact, if you go back to his high school and college days in Florida, he rushed for over 100 yards in 155 of his 326 games. We did some math. He rushed for almost 19 miles against tacklers. Ladies and gentlemen, Emmitt Smith. Football right now?
Well, the sun is setting here in Canton, Ohio for a picture-perfect backdrop and what has been a picture-perfect evening here at the Pro Football Hall of Fame enshrinement ceremony, and it will continue. This has been a picture-perfect year for the Saints. They just won their first Super Bowl, and now they're about to get their first ever full-time player into the Hall of Fame. It is a linebacker who wore your number, my friend, Rickey Jackson. And for more on that, let's go to Chris Berman.
Welcome back, everybody. Maybe you just had to be a senior at Pitt in 1981. Maybe that was the key. 19 of them, 19 seniors were drafted that year into the NFL. Russ Grimm, we just honored with the Skins, and Rickey Jackson in the second round by the New Orleans Saints. For Jackson, many felt that all the winning would stop right there. The Saints, you see, certainly didn't do much marching, but soon Jackson would spearhead a linebacking corps that was second to none. Starting in 1983, Rickey had double-digit sacks for the first of 6 straight seasons. Starting in 1987, when the Saints went 12-3, New Orleans would win double-digit games in 4 of the next 6 seasons. He later played 3 years with the 49ers, where he'd win a Super Bowl in 1994. The 6-time Pro Bowler is presented by the owner, whose team currently owns the Vince Lombardi Trophy, New Orleans' Tom Benson.
Rickey Jackson was born to play football. The opposing team had to be well prepared. He was going to give them hell. He gave his heart and soul, his body to this game.
In 15 Hall of Fame seasons, Rickey Anderson Jackson would unleash that fury on opposing offenses across the National Football League, leaving running backs in his wake and quarterbacks on their back.
Pressure being hit and sacked at the 29. Rickey Jackson.
And Rickey Jackson just comes on the blitz.
If he didn't get a sack with 2 in the game, he got down on himself a little bit. He had the unique ability, it seemed like at the right time, to get in there and attack the quarterback. And I can tell you the opposing team's quarterback, boy, they didn't like Rickey Jackson. And I don't blame him.
Equal parts athletic marvel and cerebral technician, Jackson earned 4 All-Pro selections, was named to 6 Pro Bowl teams, and retired with the 3rd most sacks in NFL history, 128, and the 2nd most fumble recoveries, 28.
Not only the sacks and the tackles and so forth, is the energy and the commitment to playing football. He loved every minute of it, and he really worked hard at it. In 13 seasons, he didn't miss but only 2 games. He broke his jaw in an automobile wreck, but I'll tell you this, it would have been left up to him. He'd have played in those games. I'd like to show you this helmet that he wore so he could still play. Look at the front of this thing. Now, I'm going to tell you, it's heavy. It's hard enough for me to hold up, let's have on my head. This was Rickey Jackson.
A stalwart on the field and in the locker room from the day he donned the fleur-de-lis, Jackson became a major defensive force, assisting the Saints' rise from perennial laughingstock to league-wide respectability in the late 1980s.
When I look back, I always think about Rickey Jackson in that 87 season.
The Saints are winners for the first time in 21 years.
That was our first winning season in their history. You think about the fact that there's a club that's been there around 20-odd years and never had a winning season, and we have a winning season. The first winning season, it was like winning a playoff game. And Rickey Jackson was second to none.
A Saint in 13 of his 15 NFL seasons, Rickey Jackson's tireless work ethic off the field and his focused intensity on it have led him to be the first player who played the majority of his career as a Saint to be enshrined in Canton.
At the Super Bowl, I was out watching him do a little practice. Somebody came up to me and told me that Rickey had been announced to be in the Hall. And here we are playing in the Super Bowl for the first time in Saints history. Just what a tremendous feeling that I had. To me, this is really something to me very important to this club, important to the fans. I think Rickey has given us this. It's my honor to present Rickey Jackson to the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Wow.
Ladies and gentlemen, Tom Benson presenting Rickey Jackson.
Boy, I didn't know I did all that, man. But I'll tell you what, I give honor to the Spirit of Christ, man, who's the head of my life. And, you know, I tell you, I'm from a small town called Pahokee, Florida. And me, I think that I love my hometown, you know, better than anybody in the world. That's what I cherish, my hometown. Because I'm from a little town on the lake called Pahokee. And what's unique about it, we're surrounded by water, we're surrounded by sugar cane and a lot of, you know, different vegetables and stuff. And what we can do there in Pahokee, you can't do a lot of places. So I really love my hometown because you always can go fish, you can go hunt, you can go get vegetables and different stuff. You can, you know, you can live, and a lot of places you can't live. So I love my hometown a whole lot. And me, I come here and my hometown have a whole lot of my hometown out there, a whole lot of people out there from my hometown. And my family, they mean a whole lot to me. I got all my kids, I got my kids there in the front row. They mean the world to me. My father out there, he mean a whole lot, sisters and brothers. So they mean a whole lot to me. And I started off with my hometown, so I go like this. My elementary year coming up, my coach started me playing football when I was 6 years old. I mean, I was in the 6th grade, Coach Rose. He's out there now. And I started playing, coach holding his hand up. I got to be 13. I realized I knew I was going to be a great football player. I always wanted to play football. And what enticed me to really try to play football was you come to Poker, they had on the sign, welcome to home of Mel Tillis. And Mel Tillis was a country singer. And man, he you know what I mean, we had things around my hometown that you could do wrong if you choose to do wrong, but me seeing that sign say, welcome to the home of Mel Tillis, I wanted my name on that sign. And I tell you what, I wasn't gonna do nothing to try to mess my career up to keep my name from off of that sign. So a lot of my friends, they went the wrong way, man, I waved my hand to them because I was trying to get my name on that sign. And I tell you, I end up going to the University of Pittsburgh, where it has a lot of great athletes there. You get the Russ Graham, the Marinos, the Hugh Green, the Mark Mays, you know. We had Carlton Williams. We had so many great players there. And like you're saying, we had 19, but we had 4 or 5 more that went and tried out there, wasn't drafted. And when I went there on a recruiting trip, we had Tony Dorsey showing most of us around, so you know that's what made all us go back there. They had just won the national championship. They was 12-0, and you know, Dorsey made everybody come back there, and we went back there and had a great time together, a bunch of great men. And a lot of us, you know, like me and Russ Graham, we went there as freshmen. We were best friends as freshmen, believe it or not, and the best friends at our senior year, graduating together. And one thing I can say, Coach Jackie Sherrill, he put a lot of good men together from all walks of life. And a lot of them, you didn't know where they was coming from, but you know they was coming there to play great football. And I don't want to leave none of my coaches out. You know, you're going to leave some out, but, you know, Mom Phillip drafted me with the Saints. That's how I got with the Saints. And he did a great job, him and Coach John Paul and them Wade Phillip. They did a great job with me, keeping me focused. And then Coach Mara came around, and he brung Vic Fangio and Sitwell and them there. And they did a good job with me. And you know, I hate to go back to my high school, but I had my high school principal was Coach Russell. He did a great job with me on the field. He was our head coach too, and Coach Hyman. You know, those guys coached me to do the right thing. And one thing about Coach Rose is we had games on Friday. He would take all the good players home with him and make sure that we was able to come back to the game at night. So that's what kind of hometown I had. We had a special hometown. But you know, I get up here and I see these guys around me, and you know, knowing that I think that I deserve to be up here, I see the things that I did on the field. Football always been my life, and I see that in these guys here, man. These Hall of Famers here, I just seeing how these guys carry themselves and just seeing the love that they had for football. You know what I mean? We really need to keep football going. You can't let football get away, because, I mean, you can get where the product can be so good, man, till you can lose sight on it and let it get away. So I think right now, you know, for the National Football League, we need to get together and make sure that we keep the game what it is today. Don't let it get away, because we got a great product. And when you got a great product, man, you need to keep it. It's hard now to keep stuff going in America. So when you get something good, try to do the right thing with it. Make sure that you keep it going. All right? So, you know, and my thing with my owner, I mean, Mr. Wilson, he got in the Hall of Fame, and he went to the Super Bowl 4 times and then win. My owner, he went 1 time and then won, so we go back again this year and we win. I think that he should be up for the Hall of Fame. And not only that, I mean, keeping the Saints in New Orleans, man, you just don't know. The Saints went through Katrina, Then they come back, they go through the oil spill now, and none of that would have been a disaster if they would have lost. The Saints would have been 10 times worse than all of that. So I take my hat off to them. A lot of people say, why you pick Mr. Benson and did this and that? Ain't nobody better for New Orleans and the Saints and stuff than Mr. Benson, because he the one kept the Saints in New Orleans. And I tell you what, a lot of teams left in the middle of the night taking their teams other places. And he could have did the same thing that some of the other guys did. So you got to take your hat off to somebody when they're doing right. And I take my hat off to him, because he could have did like some of the other owners. He could have took New Orleans and moved them to California somewhere, or San Antonio. And man, you know, if Katrina did us like that and the oil spill did like that, imagine losing the Saints. But, you know, my last couple words I want to say is me getting back home. I lost my mother. I went back home and spent a lot of time with her. And I found me a good church. I got into the church, and it steered me in the right direction. And man, I can say to all of y'all in here, find you a church home and make sure, man, that you give Christ your life. And on the end was saying, I see Pastor T.D. Jakes out there, man, and I love that guy. I listen to him every day. I get up in the morning with Pastor T.D. Jakes on my TV station. And my bishop, Robert L. Banks, man, I got 2 men of God there in my life, man, that they keeps me going the right way. So a lot of that stuff these young boys doing and the trouble they getting into, you need to point them towards Christ, man. Point them towards Jesus, and their life will go straight, like mine going. Thank you. Love y'all.
A plea for his owner into the hall. The member of the Dome Patrol, Rickey Jackson, now resides in Canton. Coming up next, the greatest wide receiver ever.